So I got a special guest today. I'm really excited. This is going to be a really fun episode. There's a lot I want to get into with this guy. We'll probably talk a little Corona nutrition. We'll probably talk a lot of different things. We'll get into some fun stuff. This guy is absolutely a guy who walks the walk and talks the talk. He's jacked. He cooks. He's Chef Andre Rush. What's going on, brother?
How are you, brother? Pleasure to be here talking to you guys.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm really excited to have you. I want you to kind of give my audience, let everybody know, how'd you get to this point of notoriety? You're like the people's chef.
You know what? I guess that's my new catchphrase, the people's chef. It's funny because there's no single line that I took to get to where I am and doing what I do and how I do it. I did the one thing that everybody said not to do, and that was to be different. And I different my ass off, actually. And I went against every grain, so to speak, that it was possible from, just growing up in Mississippi, very small town, with my dad, mom. Dad put me to work as soon as I could walk. Mom was just as humble and nice as can be. Which started my whole foundation of how I am and who I am right now, combined with the military and some of the greatest people that I can possibly meet, from dignitaries to kings to queens to homeless to kids, from Arnold Schwarzenegger to just, superheroes in the community that has all put pieces inside of me who made me what I am. But very humble beginnings. Grew up in Mississippi, very, very athletic, from football to track. I actually was qualified for the Olympics. My mom loved to cook. That's where I got my cooking background from. My dad didn't know it. So I actually used to sneak and cook with my mom when I was younger. My dad was, my dad did construction for 50 years. Hard construction, where you didn't have the machines and when I used to go with him and do things, he would tell me to pick up a car and move it over here. He'd say, "Dre, pick up that car, move it over here." And I was a little kid, and I was scared as hell of my dad. So by the fifth time he said, "Pick that car up and move it over here," that car was picked up and it was moved. I'm sorry.
That's wild.
but back in Mississippi, demographically every place is different. We were very Southern hospitality type of homegrown type of hard workers, and I caveat going back and forth because now I'm known as the strongest chef, X, Y, and Z, yada yada. You probably heard a million different stories. Sure. So back then, the things that I did then wasn't extraordinary. It was just stuff that I did when I was a kid, moving heavy stuff, lifting heavy stuff. Even my friends know me. So that's when you hear about, me and Michael Hearn, and hear about the fake natty. I make fun of it because it is fun. Yeah. To each his own. I don't care. Anybody can do whatever they want to do as long as they're being cautious or whatever. And trust me, I got friends and the only thing I knew about, and I'll say this because I know it's going to start big controversy, which I really, when I say I don't care, I really don't care, because if people know me by now, my whole thing is about inspiring motivation. I talk to about 10,000 kids a year. I talk to 10,000 plus or more military. Everything I do is organic, and it is absolutely with no intentions of anything. So it's just funny, but I tell people to embrace the things that they're the worst at. And what I do, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and I think what's understated about you, doing a little digging around, you've got a huge resume. You're not just a chef. You have the ice sculpting. You have the desserts. The desserts caught me right away because I'm a fat Italian, so I like to eat. But the wine pairings, everything. You have it all covered, and that's not easy. We can get in and spend an hour on the military stuff and the nonprofit stuff, but the education that's gone into just the cooking side of you and the chef side is amazing. How did that start out, and where did you go to school? And take me through that, because you gotta love food, and you have to have a hell of a discipline to look the way you look and not eat the desserts.
Well, it's funny you said that, because my culinary resume pedigree is just one part of it. Culinary was actually a hobby of mine. I have other degrees, master's in business. I finished up my philosophy for my doctorate in business philosophy, my PMP, my profiles in estate management. I mean, I have a lot of degrees, but the culinary aspect of it is what I chose to build my foundation off of. And, and when I say to be different, I can easily put on a suit and tie and blend in. I'll just be another black man in a suit and tie. But when I put on being a black man in a chef jacket that with 24-inch biceps, people say, okay, who the hell are you and why are you here? Right. And I don't know, but let me talk to you and find out what's going on. So when the culinary side was actually just a hobby of mine. It was something that I got from my mother, and I told you I loved to do it when I was younger with her, and it stayed with me forever because I was extremely close with my mom growing up until she passed away recently. And when I joined the military and decided to switch over, everyone said, "No, why are you going to do that? It was stigmatized because it was like, you know what, that's stupid for you to be a cook." Because that's what it was. I was basically a cook. Right. And when I finally heard somebody call me, it was like, "Oh, you're just a cook," but they forgot I was a big ass strong cook. And they're like, "Oh, my bad. Well, nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do." And so I decided back then that, okay, I'm going to do something that's going to be, and I didn't know what and how and where and why. I just knew through my background and my raising that I was a natural leader, even from basic training, AIT, all the places I went. And I was going to try to do something that could stand out. And when I started cooking, I loved it. I had a series of opportunities that was just a blessing, and went to my first culinary show at Fort Lee in Virginia. Did very well. And from that, it was like somebody struck a match and just lit a fire under me. Back then, you didn't have Google or internet and all those things, so had to buy books with my own money. I was self-taught. The good and bad part about it is, a lot of ACF culinary didn't translate over into books, as far as hands-on. So, you really needed that hands-on, like Google, kind of do and watch, do-it-yourself videos. So I had a lot of trial and error. And from that, I went to become a master ice carver, then a pastry chef, later on a sommelier, then so many different, I just wanted to do everything. I mean, it was so much knowledge and so much diversity in it. And my mind was always racing. And later on, I didn't realize, but cooking would actually save my life. And not only mine, but it would save so many other military members, not even military members, but just people in general. When I started my program called Cooking to Cope, meaning cooking to cope with people with PTSD, anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, or just that adaptation with families and friends. And it was kind of like just you use gym as therapy. So my whole thing was, how you go gym with a stress reliever. So I did it with cooking because everybody's going to eat all the time. And just like now where you say, I did a little video today saying, hey, if you don't have a gym out, can't go to the gym because they're closed. Hey, use your floor, do push-ups, do this, do that. I was with Eric, the trainer, yesterday. We did a little video for Italy, and we did a whole little segment, probably about 7 to 8 of us showing different exercises you can do at your home and to keep activated. And one of the questions asked me was, how do you keep motivated? And I was talking about, everybody motivating each other, that self-help, intestinal fortitude, inspiring each other and getting each other going, mental wellness, because it takes, a family to raise each other. You can't do it alone.
Yeah, and one of the amazing things about you is finding the time to do all these things. You advocacy is a huge part of your life, and one of the things that caught me is being kind of mentally aware of the people you put around you and developing the right relationships is clearly something that's at the top of your list. But and everything that I see and what you're doing. How did it come to be with the nonprofit, and where did the push-ups come from?
So the push-ups, where should I start first? Push-ups came from, a Again, I wish it was a simple answer, but I'll tell you one. My soldier, Wesley Durden,
Mm.
he was probably about 23 or 24. And uh, uh, something happened. I was in West Point, New York at the military academy. And one day, someone said, "Hey, chef, we have this, this sergeant E5 type over here. He's a pencil pusher. And I know he was working in food service. They said, you should try to get him to come over to the quarters, which is the general quarters, which I ran, and work for you." And I called him up. I said, "Hey, Sergeant Dirty, I'm, Master Sergeant Rush. I'm X, Y, and Z." I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm sitting here." I said, "Do you want to be there?" He was like, "No, not really." I said, "Okay, you come to work with me." He's like, "Well, they won't let me." I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "But here's the deal. I am going to work your ass to death. You're going to hate me and you're going to love me, but you're going to learn the most you've ever learned in this week. So are you up for it?" And the media's like, "Yeah, So
Mm.
I got him to come and work for me. And within a month, we had a conversation where he started to cry and he told me his story and why he was there. He was there on a compassionate reassignment. And from that point in, when he told me that, and he thanked me, and he said, this is the most he's learned in just in 30 days. And he's been his whole 8 years in the military.
Yeah.
Because I believe I don't believe in segregation. When I say segregation, I don't want you to just do the things that you're doing in your job. I want you should know a little bit about everything. Don't be a stigmatized to just that little bitty corner, that 10%. Like I tell people, even in my job as food service or a chef, I want to know the back of the house, the front of the house. I want to know who built the place. I want to know why it was built. I want to know how the systems run, the bottom line, in and out. You need to learn everything. Right. So that's my whole thing that I teach people. And so with him, he wanted to learn pastries. So long story short was I taught him pastries. And before I left, I said, I'm going to get him on a show, Food Network. And this show was called The Next Great Baker. So he was, we did things for him to go to the show, Fort Bragg. And he made it to The Next Great Baker. And he was like, "Chef, I'm not going to win." I said, I know you're not going to win. I said, I know you're not going to win. I said, you've only been doing this for a minute. I said, but you already won. You're already there.
Right.
You're chosen. You get what I'm saying? This is your foundation. So once you get this, stop thinking about it as being second. Think about being the best.
Right.
You were chosen, so you make the platform for there. And he did that. And while he was there at the show, he would contact me and show me stuff. And he sent me a picture, which is actually a picture that he wasn't supposed to send, that is actually floating around online of him. He sent that to me because he was so proud. He was in the bathroom. He took a picture and told me to keep it to myself because he wasn't supposed to show anyone. And the ended up was I was helping some more military guys, and he called me, and I was with them, and it was probably about maybe a few dozen of them. And I said, I'll call him back because he was talking all the time. So Andre was like the happiest person you can meet. The next morning, 3:00 in the morning, I'm driving to Fort Eustis, Virginia, and my phone rang just by coincidence. And it's one of the guys that I knew who was over in Iraq. And I wondered why he was calling me from Iraq. And he told me that Sergeant Dirty had committed suicide. And I said, no. I said, Durden just called me last night. I'm going to call him back today. He was like, no. He said, we know how close he was to you, so we wanted to let you know. And I immediately got upset, and I hung up. And before I hung up, I said, "Give me the report." By the time I got to Fort Eustis, which is about 3 hours away, his wife called me and told me to say that she wanted me to do the eulogy. Right, so that right there was something that I had to deal with. And when I did the eulogy, then there was a bit of circumstances that happened that was unfortunate that led around there, which kind of put me, even with my advocacy, it made me very, very transparent and very aggressive. When I say aggressive, in a very respectful way, because I'm a big guy, people think my aggression is anger, but when my aggression is uh, reparations for what is right. Meaning that I don't care what your rank is, I don't care who you are, what you are. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Point blank. People love me for that. People hate me for that. I don't take sides. That's why you never hear me say Army, 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 Army. I was Army, but you always hear me say Joint Forces because I don't say, don't trust me. Don't get me wrong. I love my Army brothers. I love their Army. They taught me the greatest of all. But in this world, we have to do that part where we have to be together. And me not just saying I was born in the Army, I was this in the Army. I get it, I got it. But in my platform, it is going to be all of us, and I put us all together and not separate us to show that, hey, this is Army running this right here, or this is so and so. Now, if anybody else wants to do that, trust me, by all means they can. But me, it's not going to happen. As far as the advocacies with the nonprofits, just you know what. I don't know if you know my story, but with the White House, oh my God, it's just a long story. It's I guess it'll be in my book coming out later. But with the White House, I work for a lot of people. When I say a lot of people I don't talk about, a lot of people I don't say about. Not only if you're talking about the White House, but I'm talking about dignitaries. I'm talking about people that are the who's of who's. And I say this humbly, which I've been pleased and blessed because they taught me a lot of things. They taught me the good and they taught me the bad. The good and the bad meaning that how to run things and how not to run things. And I say this, and I say in the political realm, meaning that everybody can talk a good game, and not even a political realm. That's in business in general, or in people talking in general.
Right.
And I say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden somebody hangs $1 over my face. And then all of a sudden I'm gone. You never hear from me again, ever. Right? And it's like, you talked a great game and now you have what you want and now it is obsolete. And I said, if I ever had an opportunity, if I was blessed to be on any type of platform like that, that'll never be me. And one of the most humbling things that I get to this very day is that people say, Chef, you have not changed 100% at all. And a lot of things, and I even feel stupid even saying this because it was so much. My first entire year, I spent a lot of money advocating, going to all the kids, going to the military, going to other places because people knew my message was strong and my words and people would listen and they took advantage of that. But I let them take advantage of that because I know it was a bigger picture. I was helping people. I was helping lots of people. And, into a date, I've been featured in over 50 different countries. And it all started from doing 2,222 push-ups, 24-inch biceps. But at the end of the day, it was all the same message about inspiring, about mental health, mental awareness, about physical fitness, about, getting out, doing something with each other. So, it goes on and on with that. I mean, it's a huge thing.
Isn't it kind of crazy in today's day and age that it's almost hard in some ways to push a positive message out there, Chef? It's almost like, people want to shoot that down. Like you almost feel like you have to explain yourself, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, right? And I've talked about that with O'Hearn and a bunch of the guys, and and Bruce and everybody. It's almost like you look at folks like out there in the fitness realm. Everybody's very welcoming. Everybody's very positive, and they try to be. And that's something that's not easy to do, right? Like I always say to Cutler, I'm always like, Jay, I don't know how you shake as many hands of people and you meet them and you smile and you smile and you smile. But isn't it crazy that you have to explain yourself for being positive?
It's so unfortunate and it's so funny that you said that because it's so ironic that it doesn't matter what you say. I used this metaphor the other day. I said I could jump out of a burning building with 10 babies in my hand
and a bag of kittens,
and a bag of kittens, land, stop a nuclear bomb from going off with my finger, right? And then the first thing somebody would say to me is, "Oh, you think you special, huh?"
Right.
you think,
exactly.
It's funny, but now it's to the point where it's comical. And unfortunately, this day and time, it's that entitlement. It is that everybody is complacent now, and even myself. It's our nature. We're in the best country you could ever possibly want to be in. Everybody wants to be in this country. We are free, freedom. People here, us in general, we have no idea of some of the people that come here that work their butts off or work their asses off, how they got here and the things they had to go through to get here, and they risked everything to get here when we were born already with it, right? And now we got all the thing we have to do is go to our phones and pick it up and say, hey, who do I want to troll today? Oh, you got Michael Hearn up there. Oh, Mike, oh, you're the fake Natty, oh, you're this or that, or, you don't know how to work out. And you know what? And when I just tell people, just shut up and learn from people. I don't care who it is. I will learn from everybody. And the thing that I always try to do, which is almost sometimes impossible, I comment on every person that says something to me. And when I say my schedule is busy, my schedule is extremely busy, but it's important only for me, because if I have that free moment just to push the like button, liking that they said something, I acknowledge them, that would do everything for me. I mean, I was just on Snapchat and it went viral with, I think it was Gym Heroes.
Right.
And I got like maybe 4,000 more followers from that. And they were all 95% of them were kids, like between the ages of 13, 14, 15, 16. And I could tell you about 50% came in my DMs and was saying, thank you for saying this. And it was under the radar, under the cover, because it was these young kids, even though they're in that society with, millennials and all the other ones, whatever the next one's called, but they still acknowledged it because it was so tastefully done and how they did it. And then parents said the same thing, so if you don't know that what you're doing, but my 15-year-old son who's 6'5" asked me if he knew Chef Rush and you're so this or that, and trust me, I even hate saying that right now because people say, oh, you're talking about yourself. No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about kids in general. I'm talking about being impactful to the generation that is going to rule this world after us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're the future. They're the leaders. I don't live for myself. I live for my kids right now. I need to make sure that they're intact, and not only them, the other ones after them. So that's what it's all about. And by the way, if I can get along the parents, the ones at my age, under my age, above my age, and saying, get healthy, get fit, and do your thing, then so be it.
Right. It is wild that it's a struggle in 2020 to be a positive influence on the universe, and everybody always has something to say, and I try to explain it to folks all the time. I'm like, you can go to the Rock's page, and the Rock is the template essentially for everybody, because all the guy does is smile and say, I'm in the gym pushing it, get out there. It's very rare that you catch him having, a moment where he's, taking a crap on somebody or anything like that, because this is rare. But he always keeps that positive outlook. But even still, people have something to say. And there's great benefits to social media and having that notoriety. And then I guess the downside is being able to manage that. And a lot of depression and a lot of people's issues come from sometimes putting themselves out there in so many different ways, whether it's in life and love and career and all the different things. Do you find more often than not with some of these younger folks, when you're speaking to them and you're doing the anti-bullying stuff and everything else, that social media has a huge weight on them?
Oh my God, social media has the weight of the world on them. I mean, like you just said, the caveat with it is that social media is a blessing and it's also a curse. You can use it for good and you can use it for evil. It's kind of like gun control. And please don't say anything about this, because I'm not talking promoting guns. I'm saying it's like, in the hands of someone it's evil, it is evil. In the hand of the law enforcement, it is good. You get me? It's just that simple. There's no caveat in between. And somebody will take just those two words that I said with, using that and turn it around to make it them. Make it correspond with them and just trying to get other people. Then they'll start tagging everyone else and say, did you hear what he said? Or did you hear what she said? And kind of go along with it.
Yeah, shape the narrative.
Yeah, shape the narrative, exactly. But, it for me, it's a necessity. I'm a very private person. always have been, just because of my background and the people I've worked for and the things I've done and the things I've been through. And I even a lot, I try to not talk about the things that I've been through, from the 9/11 to the Iraq to the Afghanistan. And people thinking that cooking is my whole thing. Cooking, as I said, is a hobby. People don't know my real story, and I have not told them my real story. But, I love the fight. I've been training in combatives for a very long time. I do all the things everybody else does. I don't just get this size just by being a cook, and I can use the lines extremely well. But I use this as this platform because I was blessed to make it so diverse when everybody said I couldn't. I was blessed to have so many people reach out. I was supposed to be in the city of Parkland, Florida, yesterday. They had the shootings in 2018, and then from that they had a few suicides. And it's a small town, and they requested me to come over to do morale and to uplift the kids. And I did the same thing in Fort Lee, Virginia just a week ago. And I did the same thing when I was at the Arnold Classic and talking to all those kids and going to schools. And I got a request just the other day from a little girl, 16 years old in Utah. And it's only 150 kids at her school. And the biggest thing that was such a compliment, she said, I know you may not ever see this or may not do this and so forth, but we need your morale. We need, your motivation. I love everything you do. And it's an all white school. You know how much that means to me to hear that from on that part? That shows so much of how far we've come, and trust me, there are hundreds of influencers on social media. They're everywhere. They're a dime a dozen. You can go anywhere, and like I said, again, it is what you do and how you do with it. But, I have to be, and I am 100% organic. And if it's one little twist, then it's just not me. And I just can't do it for an ill reason. And so, yeah, I mean, it's hard for it.
Yeah, and the biggest, the biggest thing people always say to me, they go, well, you're in the public. How can there be things about you, people don't know? And I say, I only let you see what I want you to see. I'm like this, so people don't understand that, being a guy who's been in the defense industry for a while now, for quite some time, and been a CEO of rifle companies and worked different. There's been stops I've been at that we didn't sell just rifles. I'm like, do you think, that was the only thing we sold? So you're involved and you have your hand in so many things. And I try to explain to folks, when you go on social media and you post things and you actually understand social media, and this is what people just have to understand about media in general. Media is always manipulated, even your own personal media. It's 100% organic, but there's also things we always keep private, right? As people in the public eye, public sector, there's things you keep to yourself. I mean, usually it starts with family and children and young ones you have, and then so on and so forth, and parts of your career that you like to keep private. I openly talk about jiu-jitsu amongst friends and people, but I rarely post about. You rarely ever see a post or anything, in that regard, or combatives or training that I've done and who I've done it with through the years. And there's a lot of things that people just don't understand. No, we don't put everything out there. We put what we want you to see out there. And that's what I try to explain. And people don't necessarily understand that. It's hard enough being a mental health advocate, being someone who's dealt with suicide the way that you have up close and personal, being a combat veteran, being at the level that you've been at. How do you choose who you put in your circle and who you put around you? What process do you go through, and what is it? Give some folks some insight into what you look for. I don't want to say a friend, Chef, but like someone that you're going to say, this is a guy, I want his phone number in my phone.
You know what? I think you just said that's an excellent question. People say all the time, I hear, well, my circle is I keep my circle small. My circle is small. My circle is small. And you know what? My circle is not small. I'm getting bigger. My circle gets bigger. So it grows because I am going to grow. I have to grow. I have to grow to reach more people. I have to grow to get out there. And fortunately and unfortunately, I have to do that on a social media aspect of it. So when I grow and I push out the negative and I let the positive inside, on that perspective of it is that, people ask me about being grounded, about, of course, about who I let in and who I don't. It is extremely hard because, like yourself, everybody tries to get in your circle. Everybody tries to switch it as though they're your friends. I mean, I've got friends from 80 years ago that I have no idea who they are and why, or they say they knew me or whatever and so forth.
Yes.
And the thing about it is I never talk to anyone in my entire life. I'm an extremely private guy, right? Just like you said, I have to be, because just because of circumstances like this, you never know when, where, and how, right? And because of your background, like you said, with jiu-jitsu and about things that happened in the past. And of course, with us, with our political background, and people try to get secrets or find out little tidbits of things or information. You know what? That's why you never hear me talk about politics. That's why you never hear me talk about things like that, because I'm not entertaining them. I don't entertain them. I can entertain them. Now, do I have my own political beliefs or whatnot? Yes. My own religious beliefs? Of course I do. But when I look for people, the last time I was asked a question, what do you do about friends and family that don't belong in your circle?
That's a good question, yeah.
I get rid of them. Point blank. There's you know what? And here's the thing. I support them 100%, but I'm about growth. And if you know that I am trying to inspire a nation and a world and trying to do things, and you're saying things that don't coincide with what I believe in because of your personal beliefs, then we can't do it. I can't waste my energy and my time on you. I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to support you from a distance. But honestly, I literally cannot waste the energy on you. If you're just one person of a million, now imagine if that was 500,000 people that I'm trying to save. So I'm okay with giving up one out of a million. I'll say that every time. And I tell even the kids, I tell them that the person to your left or right may not be your best friend 10 years from now, because you may outgrow them.
Yeah.
And they may be still stuck in the same place.
It's you said it so well, Chef. I put it like this to people all the time. I say, listen, my criteria is really simple. You can use circle, whatever term you want, and I'm with you. Every guest I have on, everybody, I follow them on all the channels, support everything that they do, all the above. But I say it like this. I say, and I said this to Ray Cashcare, the SEAL. Ray goes, how do you pick people in your circle? I said, Ray, it's real simple. I said, I look for bridge builders, not bridge burners. If you burn bridges, I can't do it. I can't have you in my life circle. And you can be a friend, like you said, from a distance. You can be an acquaintance. Hey, how are you? Great. But like you, I probably have, and again, this isn't me saying anything like I'm something. This is actually a negative on my part. I probably have about 115 unread text messages. I get to them when I get to them. And some people they're at the top of the priority. You try to get to them right away. And some people, you just can't get to them all the time. You're kind of chasing it, and when you get to a level of circle, and what I'm trying to do is explain to people, because people ask this question all the time in regards to networking. You are friends with people, like we share a lot of mutual friends, you and I, and it's something we haven't discussed, but we share tons of mutual friends. Those are folks that they know I'm here. When you reach that level of networking, they know I'm here. You send me a text, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, hey, Johnny, I got this going on. I'm here, or we happen to be in the same area. I'm going to answer. You understand that. When you're playing in the mud, or you're not understanding how circle and networking and relationships work, you're constantly, talking to the same three people all the time. That's not growing. And if you're a bridge burner, I can't have anything to do with you, because sooner or later you're going to burn all the bridges and you're going to be on an island. And it's lonely on that island. You don't want to be on that island. Trust me, it's not a good place to be. So I always tell people, build bridges, I could hang this phone up with you. And this is a lesson for anyone listening, or anybody out there, even in your audience. You and I could hang this phone up today after this call, text you, hey, had a great time, awesome time, support each other from afar. And down the line, you might say, yeah, I know John. I don't know him super, super well. Maybe we meet, maybe we don't. Maybe we have dinner together. And down the line, you just say, yeah, good dude, solid dude. Does that mean I'm your best friend? Does that mean I'm in your circle? No, but it's another person that you keep around you that's giving positive vibes, that's giving good energy to your life, that's supporting what you're doing. And that's how you start to file people into your ecosystem and into your sphere of influence. And the better experiences you have with people, the more you're going to proliferate. And the people that burn bridges, they just don't proliferate, Chef. They stay in the same negative energy in the same space. And that's how I see it. That's just how I see the universe. And my mother used to joke, I grew up in Boston, so you should say, your crappy friends, they'll be on the corner, hanging on the corner for the rest of their life. And yeah. And she's right. She was right about that, because some people just never leave the corner. And that's how I love that. Mm-hmm. And they never expand, they never grow, they never get to the next level, because that's the most common question I get asked. People ask me, how did you develop the network you have? Because I've had something like 200 guests on, and I haven't had a repeat guest on. And they're very notable people, very known people in their communities. And I say it's really simple. I've had a lot of relationships through years and years of training and being in the business and being around the business over the last, 15 years in the defense industry, 10 plus years. I've managed to forge a lot of really strong relationships, and I had my times in the fitness industry for years, and I just really enjoyed the different experiences. But I think people don't understand that it's okay to make a good acquaintance, a good bridge builder, a good resource, but bring something to the table too. If you're out there and you meet Chef, take it all in, take the experience in, learn from it. And like you said, there may be people you need to leave behind to get ahead, and that's okay. You're not abandoning them. Am I right in saying that, Chef? You're not abandoning them. No, yeah, you're just taking the next step in your life, the evolution.
And it may be that push that they need to realize that, they may be sticking times where they just thinking they're stuck in that same rut. And that's, how they say you got to let them go to bring them back home.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And that's it. And I've done that before. I've let people go to be like, you know what? You were right. I want to grow. I want to make myself better. I do it all the time, just like you do. Mm-hmm. And I know that. And then it was a perfect example about the bridge burners. And I didn't even think about it that way because I don't burn bridges. So, I guess because you just think about people like, oh man, he or she, they're just so negative. They just start so much trouble. They just try to, ick up stuff. Even with this stuff going around with Corona, I people who's called me and I had to calm down and I explained it to them in simple 1, 2, 3 ABC language. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, why did you let the media and you let other people just hype you up? And you're in the media yourself.
To buy toilet paper.
Exactly. Think about things. Don't let other people rile you up. You should always have that, don't sweat, don't let them see you sweat demeanor any and every time, regardless. And you know this as much as anyone, just like I do, especially in let's say I use a wartime situation or a stress situation. You have to keep your calm. You think about that as a first responders, or even when it comes to your kids or your best friends or even your pets, right. You have to care guard them and yourself.
It's so crazy, and you bring up Corona, and Corona's a funny thing. I want to ask you, it's a bit of a gear change. With all this going on, you being a chef and understanding nutrition, what advice do you give to people out there that, are WebMDing themselves and being hypochondriacs? I guess it's one part motivation, right, Chef? And then one part, what are good effective techniques, when they get out of bed? Because, we all have that friend that's like, Chef, I think I have Corona. And you're like, no, you don't. Listen, drink some water. What advice are you giving those folks right now? I mean, I know we're laughing and we understand, we understand what it is and we understand what's going on out there. But there are tips and tricks to calm people down and do proper hydration and nutrition. What advice are you giving them?
And so, the thing about it is that you said it right. You've probably gotten, each and every one of us has probably gotten about over a dozen to 2 dozen messages from PetSmart to Rite Aid to everywhere talking about this, everywhere talking about Corona. And so it's enough message. If you didn't read the signs and symptoms of Corona, you need to. And then if you do, don't take it more than what it's worth. and try to escalate it from the media or from other people saying, "Oh my God, they're doing this, doing that." Now, of course, wash your hands. Older people, of course, more susceptible. You have to watch out for them. You have to care guard them. You have to make sure that they're the ones having enough food. Of course, I don't know what toilet paper has to do with anything, but I'll figure it out later. I get it. Washing your hands, making sure you care guard yourself, but doing things on a necessary procedure where you don't start an unnecessary hype. I was just at the farmer's market. And one of the guys, a lady was standing beside him and was like, "You're standing too close to me." You know, she got all of this, standing too close to me. And now she could have just started a mini riot just from that word and verbiage alone. You know, if he's standing close to her, she shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's the farmer's market and everybody's walking everywhere, right? Of course, and don't feel, I'll be honest with you, if you're going to go out, don't feel like an idiot if you're even wearing gloves or if you're even wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. It's your safety, it's your health. Especially if you have your kids or something, care guard yourself. Think about it. You're drinking water. They say if you drink water every 15 seconds, you know, it'll downpour it and you won't get it. But I'm not going to drink water every 15 seconds. It's just not possible, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. So on a realistic note, is I'm going to make sure that I wash my hands, that I'm in my own safe environment, that nobody's coming into my environment. Don't act like because you're in your house that someone new came into your house and all the stuff is all of a sudden affected. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a common sense and no-brainer type of deal. The virus lives outside, which is an incredible 10 days. They're making new things right now. But just, and again, like I said yesterday, matter of fact, just be good to each other. Watch out for each other. And that's what makes it even more profound, because that's showing a unity and that us being together and not it's all about me, mm-hmm. instead of you. I don't care if you die, but I'm not going to die. I don't care if you get hurt. I'm not going to get hurt. You know, just watch out for each other. It's ignorant to me. I'm going to have to use that word. It's kind of ignorant to me. And I say ignorant, not in a disrespectful way about the virus, but it's ignorant how sometimes the lack of knowledge or the lack of understanding or the overhype of us, like hyping it up for no reason, kind of makes us go just berserk and shit. It's crazy, brother.
Yeah. No, and I you know, I assume I'm always the dumbest person in the room, so I try to boil it down to the simplest form. I tell people all the time, if it bleeds, it leads. And right now it's a great story, you know, without getting into politics. Like we said, we're in a time of an election. It's kind of always a lull in media around the spring. It just always is. So, you know, you're in between sports right now. Everybody's kind of waiting around until football season starts. You still have hoops. Hopefully that comes back and so on and so forth. Right now we're just in the precautionary phase. They just don't want it to spread. It's really just that simple. And
it's simple.
Yeah, and what you're dealing with is something that essentially has the half-life of a flu. So, you know, once we get out of flu season and into April and a little bit into May, you're going to see a lot of this dissipate. And I tell people, you know, I'm no doctor. You have a more of a background in nutrition than I'll ever have. You know, drink your water, have your vitamin C, take the precautions, rest your body, and use the time that you have under whatever self-imposed quarantine you're going to use to take care of yourself, you know, and that's something I'm sure you're advising all the people close to you to do.
And you know what? You know, you hit a key word where you say, take care of yourself. Hey, do that team building with your family, with your kids, with your wife, with your husband. Make that time. If your kids are out of school, hey, turn it into a family affair. Work out together in your house. Do journalism. You know, start that novel that you were thinking about. Write a book, hell. Yeah. Do something that's going to be more effective. Catch up on those emails or do something that's going to be productive instead of just looking at the news every second, complaining about why we're still here and we can't go anywhere or do anything. Do something. That's it.
And it's a shame, you know, the one thing I do want to address, because I know you're in the throes of it with the Arnold being canceled. It does stink, everybody, to you know, see these things canceled. Nobody wants to see that. You don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I was supposed to be out there. I was supposed to be at the NRA show. I'm supposed to be at all these things. Everything's been put on hold. Nobody wants to see that. Everybody's an advocate of keep moving forward. But the reality is you have to take the precautionary steps. Nobody wants to see something spread that we don't have enough testing in place and we don't have enough. Really, all it boils down to, and I said this to a friend without getting into the details of what I know and don't know about it, I said to a friend, really, the number one precaution is they're trying to ramp up getting the kits made so people can be properly tested, and then they can start to deal with it on a case-by-case basis, and they don't want the hospitals flooded. That's really all it is. What that has to do with toilet paper and everything else, I have no idea.
No, it's true. It's funny, speaking of the Arnold of the Classic, I was there, and it probably was, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't probably. It was absolutely amazing. Of course, unfortunate thing was the 250,000 people, the event. I know it was going to be, they're still working it out now because a lot of vendors, a lot of people, their business depended on Arnold.
Of course.
That 3 or 4 days, not the big businesses, those small businesses, those are the ones that depended on it the most. Now we're trying to scramble about it. But for the events that did go on with the competition, I will say it was 110% support. It was packed tight. Of course, they took all the precautionary procedures with the contestants. But it was also the best time that I've seen where everyone actually had a chance to network and communicate with each other. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do that because you've been there. You can't even walk and talk at the same time, and everything is like hitting and moving. I have to give it up to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor. He stuck around the whole entire time, and he made it a note to actually go around and talk to people and see people, things that he didn't have an opportunity to do during the previous classics because he's so busy and jumping from here to there. So it was absolutely amazing, incredible time there, even though it was unfortunate of what happened.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate when we see these types of things canceled and pushed back and dates moved around, even what they're talking about doing with March Madness now. And even, I like what Dana's doing with the UFC. He's still holding the events so people can watch them from home, but they're not putting the crowds in. I think that's a good move by Dana to try to keep that moving forward because it gets very tough with guys with weight cuts as they get closer to the fight. So for now, that's the route he's going. But it's as a public figure, and I know I speak for Mike and the other guys, you never like to see these things canceled. You like to be out there and you like to see the people and you like to have the experiences. So no one's advocating, oh geez, we just don't want to go or we don't care. Everybody wants to see these things happen, and I think that they will. Arnold's a smart guy, the governor's a smart guy. He'll correct this. They'll be able to get the proper publicity behind companies, because I know I'm dealing with the NRA, and I had one company say to me, John, I make about $700,000-800,000 at that show. They're a very large optics company. That's a show we need. So they're banding together to figure out ways to put publicity behind these companies to get them, the dollars, the infusion of capital to get them what they need. And I think that they'll work something out. Things will come together. The industry has a way of coming back stronger, as they put it. I wanted to ask you, one more thing with all the stuff you have going on with everything. We talked about Circle. We talked about all these things. How do you choose what you want to put your energy into because I'm probably not as much as you. People come up to you with all kinds of stuff. They want to float an iceberg across Arizona.
Oh my God.
How do you choose what you put your energy into?
That's a crazy question, because I swear to you, I probably get maybe 2 to 3 things a day. I have someone always trying to say they know how to save the world every other day, from suicide awareness.
Everything.
When I say everything, I'm talking about things that I had no idea that even existed. Some of the things, I humbly do them. From pets, of course, I love pets, and people insert me to those. And people insert me to the medical fields, to doctors, just so many different things. What I do is, instead of having someone talk to them, I talk to them myself a lot of the time, which is probably not the best thing, but I'm a relationship builder. And I also, because of my background, like yours, is I listen to what a person says to me, right? They have one shot to say the right thing to me, right? When I say the right thing to me is that I get this a lot. I'm just like you. We're trying to hate the world. We want you to come here, and we want you to do this and this and so forth. So what do you require of me? We want you to come here in X, Y, and Z. I said, give me in detail, be very transparent. So you want me to come there? Once they say the wrong thing, then I'm done.
Yeah.
There's no retraction. There's no this, that. It has to be something that I understand the monetary value in it, right? If they're trying to make monetary value in it, that's fine. But it's when you're talking about giving back and that you are saying, and then you want to use me to push it out and then becomes not 100% organic. You know, if you tell me, I respect it more so, but a lot of the companies, they use the military, especially as a conduit just to be monetized. Right? I mean, you're talking about a 1 trillion disposable income that the military has a year, right? You know, and everybody wants a part of that because it's easy money from the contract to the government to the VA and so forth. And they want to be like, I want to get into the military realm. And again, I'm a very transparent person. I don't care if you're military or not military. If you're military and talk about the military, you want to get into it, and I'm not marrying with you, it's not going to happen, and I'm not going to support you. Right? If you're not military and you're talking about the military and it's something that's 100% organic and I think it's going to help, I'm all for you. I said, we can talk all day and all night. The one thing I don't do right away, and I'm just going to be 100% transparent, when people try to tell me, if you're not the homeless or you're not kids or you're not someone that's, and if it's corporate, they're saying, well, you know, you pay your own way to get here and you pay your own hotel, you pay, and you know what, to me, be honest, it's just disrespectful, right? And you just wasted all of my time. Or if you're telling me to buy something to help you do something to give back, I just, you know, things like that is hard for me. But I have to vet each and every person because I don't know, right? I never say no to not vetting anyone. I'll look at anything, no matter how simple or how big. I don't go for just huge items. I go for things that may turn to help millions. Like you, I have to look and I have to feel that it's the right avenue and the path that I want to do for my platform and how I'm doing for the rest of everyone. So.
Yeah, it's crazy because to put it in perspective to everybody listening, you get all kinds of crazy requests. I have a friend who loves to joke. He says it all the time. He says, you know, I've literally seen it. People come up to me and I had a person, and I'm going to get to what the craziest request you've ever got is, and you got to share it. I've had people come up to me and say they want time with the president, but the craziest thing, I have a friend, and I'm going to pick on him because he's actually a good friend and I love him to death. But like, he literally, and sometimes picking on your best friends is the best, you know, some of you really, I have a friend who's a doctor and he says to me all the time, I have the cure for healthcare. And he's like, I have the plan. And he's like, I just need to get this plan in the hands of the big guy. And I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, are you out of your minds? I'm like, I can't, you know, you have to, people just, there's sometimes, you know, I'm like, look, can I make a call? Can I maybe put it in the hands? Can you try to put it in the hands of a congressman or somebody that could take a look at it and see if it's viable? You always can do those things. But to your point of vetting and just figuring things out, people don't understand. There's equity and then there's equity in everything. And you only have so much equity at the table. How you use that equity is going to be entirely up to you. If you reach for the last dinner roll and someone else didn't eat, then they're going to be hungrier the next time the rolls come out and they're going to take 2 or 3. So when you use that equity, you have to be careful, okay? Because people don't understand, even in relationships, in our friendship right now, at the beginning stages, you're doing my show, you're supporting me, I'm supporting you by putting it out there in the audience. We have a mutual equity. You're giving me an hour of your time that usually costs X. My favors run thin. I got to, do a favor for you and push it out to my audience and support you. It's a kumbaya that both sides win. And people don't understand that you can't just go up to people and say, hey, chef, I have this amazing foundation. Well, everybody's foundation is amazing. Just ask them, So you have to have, as you said, a genuine understanding, have a plan, have something down on paper that somebody can look at, have something put together. And guys like you, myself, anybody are going to be very receptive to listening to anything. And whether or not something can be done, I mean, I'm a good networker. I'm not great at fixing healthcare. I don't know anything about that. That's not really my realm. And and it's not my area of expertise, but they have to understand you only have so much equity at the table. Your life and your day, and just like jujitsu or anything that you do, cooking, you have an energy bar. You only have so much bandwidth. How you use that bandwidth each day, each week, each hour is entirely up to you and what you put it into, and you have to be very careful how you use that bandwidth. So I've had some crazy requests, as I'm sure you have. What's the craziest one you can talk about that you've ever had?
Oh my God. I've had so many requests that's been just, I'll give you one, but I'll say this. I'm a great guy. Everybody knows me. I'm
course.
very energetic. I am no. I'm saying this because I'm Kevin out what you were just saying. And people think because that we're so great guys that we don't know our worth value. We don't know.
Everything's free.
Everything's free. Everything's free. We don't know our worth value. We don't do anything. I had this one guy here actually in LA that I met, and he was like, and this goes back to the president. He's like, I have some donors, some donors who, three of them who they're Indians, and they want to just talk to the president, and they want to give him. I was like, okay, he's like, and they have right of monetary blah blah, and I'm like, okay, so you need to put it on paper how much they have, how much this. And he's like, oh, they're worth like, I think it was some ridiculous amount of maybe like $8 billion a piece. So and he's talking about $24 billion. Like, wow. I said, really? $24 billion. And he was like, yeah, they'll give you $1 billion for your suicide awareness program and mental health. They'll give him, for his next campaign, half of their fortune. And I was just like, okay, hold on a second.
Time out.
I hung up. I hung up, and that was the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was just one of the craziest things. Of course, when people try to put monetary amounts in front of you and they can't back it up. And they don't care even if they could back it up, I'm not going to go that route. But just crazy dumb things. I've had probably a million.
It actually leads to an advice point too, Chef, and I guess this is a good note to leave everybody on. In some ways, the thing people have to understand in anything, in networking, in life, and building relationships, and I think Gary Vee would even share the same thought. Mm-hmm. You can't get blinded by trying to impress somebody or to try to bedazzle somebody with a relationship or whatever it is. Even if you have $1 billion, it's very hard to try to put that into like, I'm going to impress a friend or get caught up in trying to do something that isn't supportive. If it's a good cause to everybody out there, or it's something that's worthwhile. Like I've had friends reach out to me and they said, they say things like, hey, I just wanted to get this person, whomever it is, a coin or a gift or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's doable. I could work that out. Nobody says no to a nice little gift. Let me make a call. Let me see, that works. Usually, start with trying to give something without asking for anything in return. And that's a great way to develop a relationship. And it doesn't have to be something big. I tell folks all the time, especially in my industry, that want to send something to somebody or someone in my sphere of influence. I say, listen, less is more. Put a nice little card together, a thank you card if you've inspired them or they've inspired you. And that'll go a long way. Like I'm sure people might reach out to me and say, I really love that guy, Chef Rush, I'd love to. And I'd say, yeah, put a nice card together, put something together, and send it out. Like every guest that's on the show, and I don't have to tell you, Quest puts a nice little package together. And I always say a few cookies, whatever. Bruce is always great. I say, put something small together and, send it out. A little thank you card. That goes a long, long way. It doesn't have to be the Titanic. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to solve world hunger or homelessness tonight. It doesn't have to happen tonight. We can sort it out day by day, step by step, one baby step at a time. Form a little relationship with somebody, whomever it is, and go from there. Don't be a groupie and don't get caught up in trying. Yeah, it's a fair thing.
It's true. It's very true.
Don't get crazy and just allow your relationships to take shape naturally. And some people are inherently better at it than most, and some people just don't care, and some people are easygoing. I say it all the time, Chef. I was never a starstruck guy. I was never wired that way.
God.
I was born a certain way without that mechanism. People say to me all the time, they're like, you meet all these people, and I say, when I meet them, they're just people to me. I had Rob Ninkovich on the show, played for the Patriots, a friend of mine. We go back and forth all the time. I've met, and hung out with a lot of those guys from his teams and some of the folks in Heath and a bunch of the dudes. And I'm like, they're like, you don't have anything signed from them. I'm like, no. I'm like, I gave away Donnie's last book I had signed. A friend wanted. I said, take it. He goes, are you serious? I said, yeah. That stuff doesn't trigger something in me. Whether that helps me with networking or relationship building, I don't know. I don't have the secret formula. But I've never been a guy who's like, oh, there's Mike O'Hearn. Let me, I just cut the line and I'll be like, hey, Mike, what's up? What's going on, Mona? Like, getting dinner tonight? Oh, cool. If not, no big deal. I'm just, Michael texts me out of the blue once. It's just, people don't realize if you don't have that mechanism, it does make it a little bit easier to form friendships and relationships and build your own relationships. And people be very surprised. I'm a kid who grew up in East Boston, Massachusetts, which is not exactly the nicest, most loving neighborhood. If you know where Southie is, you know where Eastie is. It's a very beat up neighborhood right near the airport. I came from a family of blue collar, working class people just like you. And your story really hits home because my family was essentially one generation removed, Italian Americans, and I just managed to kind of forge my own path, and I just never really got caught up. Nobody would have ever guessed I'd work in the defense industry. The only reason I even went to the police academy was my mother said, maybe you should think about a city job. She always had that burned into my head. So I go to the academy. It just never was a moment in time where I felt like I need to wow somebody by showing them who my friend is or what I have or what simple things go a long way. I never had a lot to be like, let me do this or impress somebody by doing that or buy him a Rolex or do whatever. Simple little things. I just did the little things. Send a thank you card, appreciate somebody, thank them, take the time to listen to them, as you brought up many times in the conversation. And I think that goes for miles with folks. But
no, I love that.
Yeah, and people just don't understand that. And it's hard to tell, especially millennials and young ones today when you speak to them, because they think you have to have like the yacht and everything else. I don't have any of that stuff, Chef. I mean, I don't it's not like I have a yacht I can take like, the Trumps or the Obamas or anybody out on and be like, hey, let's go, let me dazzle you with my, big fishing trip. I don't have any of that stuff. I just use the resources at my hands. And sometimes it's as simple as sending a card or thanking someone for their time and just not being a, someone who asks for the wrong things or what I call undeliverables that just, they can't be delivered. That's not a deliverable thing. Let everybody know where they can find you and how everybody can reach you, because I know you're time sensitive. We've gone long, and we can get some folks out to support your causes.
No, it's been extremely enjoyable, and I really appreciate it. And talking to you has been a pleasure. You can reach me on IG at Real Chef Rush, is one word, Real Chef Rush. I have Twitter as Real Chef Rush, and my website is chefrush.com, but Real Chef Rush is where you find me, and I answer all of my DMs, and everything is always organic. And speaking of being about organic is the only and the best way to be. If you do what Johnny just said about just a gesture will take you a million miles away. You will be surprised just by that alone. You will that bridge you're building.
Just build it. Just keep building it. You can't keep burning them because you'll have nowhere to go eventually. You can't burn them. Can't burn them all.
There you go.
It catches up to you. Chef, I appreciate the hell out of you. It's been amazing. I do want to take a minute to thank everyone. And I want to thank everybody associated with the Arnold. I know that was something near and dear to you to kind of go through that journey and get to visit folks out there in the midst of all this and Corona and everything else, and still make it a positive, energetic, fun experience for those that did make it and also those that still participated in the 11th hour of that being canceled. I know that that's important. And go check out all of Chef's causes and everything that he has going on. I'll put all the links down below for everybody to check out, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. And please leave a review and any questions you have for Chef anywhere that you listen to this. It's available everywhere podcasts are heard. Chef, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.